Are you ready?
Are you ready?
For a podcast hosted by George T.
Who the hell are you?
I am the movie geek.
Who are you?
I am the movie geek.
You are such a geek.
Thank you.
And now, on with the show.
It's time!
It's showtime.
It's showtime. Here we go.
Hello and welcome back to the Movie Geek Podcast. My name is George Tadino, and this is another special Why DC Sucks and Marvel Rules. Even though Marvel not really doing well with their movies lately, can we just say DC has not figured this out? It really hasn't. And now it has turned to James Gunn of Marvel fame because of his tremendous work with Guardians of the Galaxy. They figure he is the savior of a new DC universe to combat the Marvel universe, which on its own has kind of been disintegrated a little bit. Hard to come back from the success of Endgame and Infinity War. However, this is all about DC. Boy, this is going to be exciting. So, with that being said, the DC universe in its entirety, has a few films in it, not as many as Marvel, but the collection of films, mind you, are just terrible. They're just terrible. And they've got some really good actors and some good casts in these movies. The writing has been terrible. The acting at times has been terrible. But I will admit, there are 3 movies out of the few movies that DC has made that I actually did enjoy. So I will get to that in a minute. But first, let's figure out the DC Extended Universe, as it's called now. We started with Green Lantern in 2011. Ryan Reynolds has admitted that is one of the worst movies he's ever done, and rightfully so. But did you notice for DC that it took forever to figure out that they should probably try this again? Because Marvel was started up with Iron Man and then the Incredible Hulk, and they decided that, you know what, we got to jump in there too. So we started with Man of Steel in 2013. This actually is my third favorite on this list. Henry Cavill as Superman, Michael Shannon as General Zod. You've got Amy Adams as Lois Lane. You got Lawrence Fishburne as the editor. I forgot his name. Wow. But I actually enjoyed this movie. The other reboot of Superman Returns, was an absolute dud, even with Kevin Spacey in it as Lex Luthor. This one was very good. I actually did enjoy it. I know it was not well received. Why it wasn't received well, we'll never know. But moving on to 2016, where we had Suicide Squad. Again, a tremendous cast. You had Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. You had Will Smith as Deadshot. You had Jared Leto as the Joker. And you had plenty of other great actors and actresses in this movie. The story was terrible. So then you had Batman versus Superman. Ben Affleck takes over for Batman, and Henry Cavill comes back as Superman. We get our first look at Wonder Woman as well. We get Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He actually did play pretty well in this as Lex Luthor. And then, of course, Batman versus Superman. And then they become friends to go after the main villain at the very end that Jesse Eisenberg releases the character Doomsday, which is just a ripoff of Abomination from the Marvel side. Whew, okay. This movie was not very good. Sorry. A lot of good actors. Plot just kind of wasted. Moving on. So 2017, we get Wonder Woman, which is my number one on this list for the DC Extended Universe. It was a fantastic movie. Gail Gott was Wonder Woman. You had Chris Pine as Steve, her love interest in this movie. What else could be said about this movie? Patty Jenkins did an amazing job on the story, the directing. She did amazing, and this is my number one of the DC Extended Universe. Then after that, people, we just get run over by a train. The original cut of the Justice League came out, and it was an absolute just abomination. We have Aquaman coming in the year after, but he was on screen with the Justice League in this one. We also had Cyborg, which eventually we were supposed to get a movie of Cyborg by himself, but gladly and just gladly, we are not getting that now. Cyborg was a very interesting character, but they did him just horribly. We also got to see the Flash, and the DC universe knows of the Flash from his TV show, but for the rest of us, really don't really care. So Justice League came out, and it was terrible. Then we moved on to Aquaman, another horrible movie. Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I actually met Jason Momoa, a really, really nice guy. I met him up in Boston, and felt kind of sorry for him that he was dragged into this movie. Just terrible, just terrible. Then we move on to 2019 when Shazam came out. What can we say about this trash? We really can't. And then we come out with 2020's Birds of Prey, a Harley Quinn movie. Harley Quinn, a very interesting character. Ewan McGregor was Red Hood, another interesting character from the comic books. This movie was not very good. If you wanted to see a good Harley Quinn, go back and watch Suicide Squad. Don't bother watching this movie. Speaking of Suicide Squad, there was a sequel, Suicide Squad, which was 2021. John Cena was in it as Peacemaker, and Iris Orbis was the main character in this as Deadshot. I felt sorry for him. He's a really good actor, and he got thrown into this garbage. Okay, let's see. Oh, how could we forget Wonder Woman 1984? Pedro Pascal, what were you thinking? Kristen Wiig, what were you thinking? When this storyline came out, Gail Goddard must have been like, "Are we kidding ourselves? Like we just did the most amazing Wonder Woman movie, and we're gonna do this trash." But hey, we got Pedro Pascal. But what are we doing? What are we doing? So after 4 years, the Justice League came out in 2017. the fans and even the actors themselves decided they were going to continue to harp on Zack Snyder's cut, the Justice League. And it was rumored forever that he was going to put it out. The movie execs did not like his um, cut, or he thought it, or they thought it wasn't going to be good, or it was over budget, whatever it was. But finally, HBO Max decided to grab Zack Snyder's Justice League movie and they put it on there. Now, it is 4 hours long and it's got a little bit more backstory, but it's almost identical film to the Justice League. It's a different cut. So when Justice League came out, they cut out most of the scenes that Zack Snyder wanted into the movie. This movie should and is my number one. And the reason why is because it talked about, or it had Darkseid, which is very much like Thanos or, you know, uh, any of the big Marvel villains. Darkseid was um, the main villain in this movie. He has an army, just like Thanos did in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there was going to be a sequel to this movie. When the movie ended, you had the black suited Superman, and he was trying to take down the Justice League alongside Darkseid. Would have been quite an interesting movie to see what Zack Snyder's idea would have been, but unfortunately, we did not get that movie. All right. It's kind of like saying when Rian Johnson did Last Jedi for Star Wars. Okay. Rian Johnson is an amazing director. All right. But he was trying to do a movie that was going to spark into a whole new set of trilogy. Well, us fans didn't really buy into this movie. Now, on its own, it was a decent movie. It was well written. The problem is it didn't live up to what Force Awakens was, and I'll go through that in another one when I do my Star Wars one, and where I think the Star Wars is heading to. But when you're talking about DC, and you have two different versions, and your actors and the public want a certain cut of a movie, and you decide, well, we're going to go with the shorter and more unwatchable, your universe is absolute trash. And oh my god, let's look at the rest of these movies, and I'm not going to do them in any specific order, but you had Black Adam, The Batman. A lot of people like this movie with Robert Patrick as the new Batman stepping in. No. Blue Beetle, The Flash. The Flash had some interesting concepts with Michael Keaton coming back as the original Batman, but after that, no, terrible. And then to even give Shazam another mention, because I did it in my Razzie show, I'm not going to. The Fury of the Gods one, anyway. And then the last movie that DC doesn't even want to mention anymore because they've just thrown away the extended universe is the last Aquaman movie, and rightfully so. Again, you wanted to counter the Marvel universe, and this is the trash that you come up with. Now, again, you had plenty of opportunity to see how Marvel was doing. You had plenty of opportunity with the actors that you employed to do better movies or to have better scripts. I mean, look at the movies and look at the actors in them. All right, you had Will Smith and Margot Robbie in the original Suicide Squad. You also had Jared Leto. All of those are very popular right? You had Man of Steel, you had Henry Cavill coming in, you had Amy Adams. Ugh, I'd watch anything with Amy Adams in it. All right. You had Lawrence Fishburne. All right. Wonder Woman, you had Gail Gott. Right. You also had Robin Wright. All right. Connie Nelson. Batman versus Superman. You had Jesse Eisenberg, who is a really good actor. All right. Aquaman. Jason Momoa is actually a decent actor. Nicole Kidman was in it. Why? Why? And Patrick Wilson, who was famous for the Conjuring movies as Ed Warren. And he's played a lot of other movies. He was in Insidious as well. He was the whole main character in Insidious. So, again, you have a list of actors, and you just didn't do anything with these movies. So, you deserve not to be up there with Marvel, and you deserve to not have as many movies and shows as Marvel. And then, you put John Cena in Peacemaker, which is a spinoff from the Suicide Squad movie. And John Cena is everywhere. We love John Cena as a wrestler. We think he's funny, but the character dies in the movie, or so we thought, and he's resurrected. And then this show is just, it's shit. It's shit. All right. John Cena and Robert Patrick as the racist father who raised John Cena's Peacemaker character. There's plenty of other good actors in this series, but I don't even know why you would sign on to this. So, and then of course, we go all the way back to Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds now is going to hopefully help the Marvel Universe. He was in Deadpool and Deadpool 2, and now Deadpool and the Wolverine are coming in. But he's even taken shots at his own Green Lantern movie. Now, that being said, DC Universe, or DC in movie, you had a lot of good movies outside of this. You had a whole Batman series. Okay, we start with the original Batman and Batman Returns in Michael Keaton's two roles as Batman were excellent. After that, it was, can we keep making these? How about we put in Val Kilmer? And then how about we put in George Clooney? Well, when you put George Clooney into anything, oh boy, that's a recipe for disaster. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate on George Clooney lovers, but sorry, he has killed everything he's ever been in. I'm sorry, just not. I know he's, part of the Hollywood elite, and he's the sexiest man alive and that sort of thing, but his acting talent is terrible. Okay, I know he has roots in acting, but just absolutely terrible, and I will stand by that. I don't care if I ever did meet him or not, and I probably wouldn't even if he did come to a Comic-Con near me, but I would not meet him. Sorry, just you can write him and screenshot this or whatever you want to do, or send him the audio. I don't care. So then we get Christopher Nolan's Batman series, and I will admit I did not like the thought of rebooting Batman, only because I really thought Michael Keaton was the Batman until he put Christian Bale in there. Now, I got to see the original Batman beginning as a premiere. I worked at Blockbuster at the time, and we had free tickets. A lot of people didn't want to go, and I'm like, I will go because it's free. Free is for me. Okay. And I remembered So this is the night that I saw two movies in the same night. I saw Saw 3D. Okay, that movie made my stomach turn because it should never have been made in 3D. So if I had seen it on a regular screen and not in 3D, my stomach probably wouldn't have turned. But it was just it was a long day, and then having to watch in 3D, the glasses were a problem, and it was just it wasn't trash. So then I had the tickets for the premiere of Batman Begins, and I wasn't expecting a lot out of this movie, but actually it was pretty good. You had Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. You had Katie Holmes, who played um, Bruce's love interest. You had Kevin Murphy playing Scarecrow. All right, and Michael Caine was playing Alfred. So I gave it a shot. Christian Bale was actually a very good Batman. You had Morgan Freeman as Fox, his guy who made all the cool weapons. So I gravitated toward it a little bit. I wasn't keen on it. I wasn't like, we should probably make another one, but it kind of grew on me. Then of course, you've got to mention Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises because Christopher Nolan really captured the Batman dynamic and really put together two fantastic movies. And I will always commend Christopher Nolan for doing that. And because my son is a huge Batman fan, he's also a Spider-Man fan, but Batman is his guy. If there is a Batman movie, he is all over it. He's seen plenty of the animated ones. He's also played all the video games, but he has not really been involved in the DC universe because he just didn't like any of the other characters. He loved Batman. So Christopher Nolan comes up with Christian Bale and the great Heath Ledger as the Joker. I love this film. I love this film. This film is amazing. I quote it a lot because Joker was very quotable in this movie. He was so believable as the Joker was Heath Ledger. And it's sad that he had to pass away at such a young age. Again, a very amazing performance on his end. And the storyline continued, and Christian Bale continued to show that he could be, right up there with Michael Keaton. So if you wanted to rank them, Michael Keaton for me was number one because obviously he was the first one that, I really gravitated to as, truly being Batman. But I think that was because Tim Burton had made him so dark and mysterious. And, I think it was just that whole fit. But then you look at Christopher Nolan making Christian Bale into the perfect Batman, and you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And then of course you double down with Dark Knight Rises, a movie that I go to a lot. I love Tom Hardy work with Bane, and it's just these two movies alone. If DC would have said these are these are part of our extended universe, this would rival Marvel. But unfortunately, these are not part of their attack at Marvel. But these two movies, if you were to watch any Batman films, Christopher Nolan's two movies right here are your choice. You got to put them in your lineup, and then right after would be the Michael Keaton 2, because they were just that good. And I love Christopher Nolan as a director. He has made so many good films, and that will be another podcast at another time that I will do. Best directors, best movies, that sort of thing. But again, we're talking about DC. We're talking about the DC universe, and why it is no longer until James Gunn can figure out how to try to match Marvel right now. Marvel obviously is in decline a little bit. Their movies aren't good. The TV shows have been better, but Marvel will figure it out eventually. And that is another podcast for another time, so I will not go any further. But the DC universe itself is dead. And I don't care what you say about, oh, DC is so much better. If you do, that's fine. I won't listen to you, but you can tell me to your blue in the face that DC made better movies than Marvel. No, I'm not listening to that trash. Again, your universe is no longer okay. You got to a point where you said, the hell with this, we can't even make good movies. So our last movie is going to be Aquaman. We're not even going to do a premiere for it or whatever. We're just going to throw it out there. And then you just wipe your hands of it. Well, again, that's why you're trash. That's why you will never be anything. Now, again, if James Gunn can figure out how to make this, make this work, I guess right now there's, plans in the works for revamping the whole DC universe under James Gunn, getting new actors and actresses in. Is it going to work? Who knows? I don't think it's going to. If you do, that's fine. That's your opinion, and you're welcome to stick with it. However, I just don't think it's going to work. I think now that Marvel has kind of gone a little downhill, there might be superhero fatigue, as people have said. Maybe it has, but at the same time, everybody loves a good blockbuster. Everybody loves special effects. Everybody loves comic books. Comic books are where they're at, And again, I'm going to go through Marvel Universe at another time, but as far as I'm concerned, I will say it one more time. The DC Universe will never, ever, 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 ever be as good as the Marvel Universe. All right, so with that being said, this has been another edition of the Movie Geek Podcast. I will see you next time at the movies.
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.